Hi everyone. I understand that when a student takes a driving test and they fail, they quite often blame the examiner, but generally it's not the case. It's the student's fault. They've done something that's wrong. In 24 years of me being a driving instructor, I've only ever had one test that I think the examiner wasn't quite right. But recently I've had another one, and that's what we're going to be looking at in today's video. Nowadays, I don't present many learners for tests. I spend most of my time teaching driving instructors. If you're interested in that side of things, please check out the memberships for the channel, because that's what I post on that side of things. I do understand that there are a few problems at the moment with joining for the memberships because you're struggling doing it on a mobile device. I get that, but there's always a link at the bottom of every single video. Copy that link and then put it into a normal browser and it should take you straight there. Now, back to this driving test that I had failed. It was one here at Norris Green Driving Test Centre, and it actually happened on the so-called double roundabouts that are quite famous in the area. The two roundabouts in question are the two roundabouts that you can often spot at the end of my videos in the outro. First of all, I think what we'll do, we'll have a look at the footage, and what I'd like you to do is see whether you can spot where my pupil went wrong. On a driving test, there's no interior footage allowed and there's no audio. Did you spot what my pupil did wrong? Well, I'll explain. The directions to do these two roundabouts were given like this. At the first roundabout, we're going to be turning right, it's the second exit, and at the second roundabout we're going ahead, that's the second exit. My pupil was failed for doing a right turn from the left lane. And we're going to go and have a look, and I'm going to try and show you why I think that's massively wrong. First things first, when these roundabouts are approached from this direction on driving test, and when the sat-nav is being used, the sat-nav says follow the road ahead at both roundabouts, but the examiner says to the student, I'd like you to carry this out from the right lane. And this is how they'd like it done. You cancel the right signal at this point, stay in the right lane. I couldn't slide over like the car behind was looking to do, and then complete this roundabout from also the right lane. Now, I did sit in the back for this debrief, and I'd like to state at this point, there's no in the world I'm using any of this video or any of this footage to question the test. I actually think the examiner did the correct thing. Bear with me. They've been told to mark it in this particular way. I don't agree with it. So it's not the examiner that's wrong, it's the DVSA. I have had discussions with the senior examiner at Norris Green, and I've got a great working relationship with him, good as gold. But they are quite adamant that it should be done in this particular way. Let's go through why I think that's not the case. So here we are approaching the roundabouts from the same direction my pupil approached from. And as you'll see, you probably did in the clip as well from the actual driving test, the second exit is slightly off to the right. However, does that mean on its own that it's a right turn? No, and this is why. The right lane could not or should not be turning left. So, does that then mean this left lane can continue further round? Well, it does, and it can. And that's one of the key things to it. To treat a junction like a right turn, you have to understand this. Straight on is the final junction the left lane can go to. So it's got to be the junction after that that's right. And on these two roundabouts, that's not the case. And it's understanding this fact about that left lane continuing round, which is one of the main things that says to me, it's not a right turn. If this truly was a right turn to get to the crossing, I should be able to slide it back across to the left as I'm exiting, because the left lane shouldn't be going further round. But as we can see, that's not the case. And if I was to slide over there, it could be risky. Interestingly for me as well, there's a particular route through these roundabouts that the examiners don't choose to use on driving test, and it's this one. I'm going left at the second roundabout, so therefore I need to be in the left lane at the crossing, and the examiners would have to give the instruction from here to follow the road ahead, and then you would end up in exactly the same position but in the next lane as if you were turning right. Like I said, they don't do this test or this on driving tests. Is that because it contradicts their decision to make that other turn a right turn? I think so. I would like to again reiterate that I'm not contesting the examiner's decision. I'd like to remind people that if an examiner tells you to turn right at a roundabout, generally it's going to be really dangerous to do it from a left-hand side lane. So now I've explained why I think that that first roundabout turn shouldn't be classed as a right turn. I'm going to go on to approach these roundabouts from a different direction, and it's from Utting Avenue to Utting Avenue. So where we've been approaching from, it's effectively from the left or the right as we've been approaching the first roundabout. And it's what we've got out in front of us now. And I've talked to the examiners many times on this, and they say the instructions first of all, straight on at both roundabouts. It's the second exit at the second roundabout. You can also have been assured, DVSA are happy, you can do this from both lanes. So no problems. I'm going to get onto the first roundabout. This first roundabout's slightly offset and it's sometimes missed by students. So have a little look at this. As I approach this second roundabout now, the other road that I'm taking is slightly off to the right. So my point is, if they're happy to do this from the left lane at this point, what's the difference? There's none at all with this first roundabout. I'm going round this left side and then leaving. For me, it's exactly the same layout. What do you think? Most of the other situations that my students can come across in my local area, I can easily explain about why the examiners want things done in a particular way. But in this scenario, I can't. All I have to say to my student is, that's the way they want it done. How is that learning and driver education? So to summarise, I can do these two roundabouts perfectly safely from this left lane. There's no conflict whatsoever with any vehicles from my right side that should be turning or are trying to turn left. I'd keep watching them anyway. No issue with me arriving here. No one should be sliding across. And there's no issue as well with any vehicles in that right side who should be turning that way. You shouldn't be turning left from a right-sided lane. So effectively, I've done that totally safely. No conflict, no risk, at the correct speed. I'm just going to hold back and let the bus out. But my student's done exactly the same and failed the test for it. I personally do not think that's fair, and I'm sure you agree with me. So, just to recap, it's not the examiner who took the test I've got any issue with. They're just following instructions. It's the person who makes that decision to give the instructions in that particular way. They're the ones who need to change. Simple as. Keep safe, everyone. I'll see you soon, if I'm not struck off.